Have you felt an extra potent drive to take charge, to build, and to make your mark on the world since around late May of this year? That is the energy of Saturn, the planet of structure moving through the initiative sign of Aries. It's been asking us all to become the architects of our own lives, but get ready for a major plot twist because from September 1st of this year until around February of 2026, close to Valentine's Day to be exact, Saturn is hitting the brakes and reversing course, slipping back into the watery realm of Pisces. This isn't a setback, it's a quality control check to ensure that your dreams are aligned with the reality that you are trying to build. And in this video, I will give a detailed forecast for this Saturn retrograde back into Pisces based on your personalized natal placements. But first, let's go over what does this shift in energy actually mean? What are we supposed to do with it, and how are we supposed to use it to our advantage? So first, let's understand the two phases that Saturn's going to be in at this time. Phase 1 is the Saturn and Aries phase. This is the energy of now. Aries is the spark or the initiator. And with Saturn here, the themes of disciplined is all about action. It's about building with courage and self-reliance. It's about taking our dreams and bringing them into reality. The universe has been rewarding planned, sustained effort and asking us to take responsibility for our direction in life. But phase 2, which is what this video is all about, is the retrograde into Pisces, because starting September 1st, the focus is going to shift dramatically. So imagine a world where you've been working hard, you've been building a structure. Saturn's retrograde back into Pisces is like the master architect pausing the work to say, let's go back and check the spiritual and emotional blueprints one last time just to make sure that you're building the right thing and in the right way, and you're building the thing that you're truly desiring, and there's no gaps that we gotta go over again. This is our time to test you, you know? So the theme changes from external building to internal integration. The core focus moves from Aries' questioning of what am I building to the Pisces question of why am I building it, and is its foundation built on truth? And so first we need to review and reflect. We have to look at the actions that you took and the things that you started building since May. Are they really aligned with your soul? Are they sustainable? These are going to come up at this time. But then second, we have to embrace and disillusion, because Pisces, as the last sign of the zodiac, is all about endings. And so Saturn's return here is our final call to dissolve old illusions, release karmic baggage, and to let go of beliefs that are holding us back. You have to clear out the old foundation to make sure that the new one is solid. And third, we need to create spiritual discipline. This is the most important part, if you ask me personally, because while Pisces can be boundless, Saturn demands structure. This is your time to commit to an inner practice, whether it's meditation, journaling, creative expression, setting firm and emotional energetic boundaries. This is the work that this transit will call you to do. And this is how you check the blueprints to ensure that they are aligned. And if you use this energy correctly, you can truly build foundations that will not only hold you strong, but they will align with your mission in this life. And in this video, not only will we be going over what this reevaluation and integration of your path will look like based on your rising sign, but we will also go into your natal Saturn placement by sign and house to show you how discipline and structure naturally present in your life and how this relates to this transit overall, because this will matter, trust me. But then we will be going into your natal Jupiter and Neptune placements by sign and house, although just the house for Neptune. I'm not going over all the signs for Neptune because some of y'all aren't even alive, as this will highlight how you naturally dream, how you naturally expand, and will help you become a lot more in tune with what your vision truly is. And if you like detailed forecast videos or tutorials like this one, please give this video a like and subscribe just to let the algorithm know that this video is your jam, but also because it would mean the absolute world to me. And so now go down to the description, look at your placements, and let's get into this tutorial in 3, 2, 1, go. For you, Aries Risings, this is intensely personal. Saturn briefly entered your first house of identity, and this was a rapid boot camp in personal responsibility, pushing you to mature and take concrete charge of your life's direction. But the real work begins when Saturn reverses into your 12th house of the subconscious endings and hidden patterns. You've been clearing out this psychic closet since around 2023. This is the final deep clean. The universe is asking what invisible anchors are still holding you back. Any new identity that you're building will feel hollow until you deal with what's lurking beneath the surface. In real life, you may take on that new leadership role, but find yourself paralyzed by imposter syndrome. There's something about the identity you are trying to step in that may be held back by subconscious blocks or fears, and only you will know what that looks like. This retrograde reveals that this fear isn't a new fear, but it's a final echo of a deep-seated, self-sabotaging belief that you inherited or developed long ago. You now have the opportunity to see it clearly and consciously dismantle it for good. This is about making your inner reality match your outer ambition. Your action plan is to notice friction. As you step into a more authoritative role, pay close attention to any internal resistance or self-sabotage that arises, and don't ignore it, but also commit to the deep dive. From September on, treat inner work as a non-negotiable priority. Whether through therapy, journaling, or spiritual practice, this isn't an indulgence, it's the main event for you, so find and cut that final invisible string that's holding you back. For my Taurus risings, this is about your dreams versus your hidden realities. During the Aries transit, Saturn quickly transited your 12th house of the subconscious, demanding you to bring structure to what's hidden, perhaps by starting therapy or a disciplined spiritual practice. Take what resonates. The focus then will shift back into your 11th house of community, networks, and long-term dreams during the retrograde. This retrograde is a final critical review of your tribe and your future vision, which you've been restructuring since 2023. You're being asked to test the structural integrity of your hopes and friendships. In real life, you might find that the inner work you've been doing has given you a deep sense of clarity, and now you see something about your place in the world or within society or amongst larger groups of, or friend circles. Take what resonates with that is actually built on a foundation that no longer supports you. It could be based on an old version of yourself or a version of yourself that you kind of thought you wanted to be, but not really. The work is to lovingly but firmly restructure your social world, your dreams, or ambitions to align with your newfound inner peace and authentic goals. Your action plan is to conduct a social audit, so use this period to gently but honestly assess your alliances, who drains you and who supports you, and the person that you're becoming. But also protect your peace. Your friendships and future goals must be in alignment with your inner health. So make choices that support your sanctuary, not disrupt it. For my Gemini risings, your focus is on your highest aspirations and career that supports them. During the Saturn and Aries phase, Saturn briefly entered your 11th house of future hopes and community, demanding you get serious about long-term dreams and build a network to support it. But during Pisces and retrograde, the main event is that Saturn returns to your 10th house of career and public reputation. And so since 2023, you have been rebuilding your professional life from the ground up. And this retrograde is the final inspection of that structure. You must ask, are the goals that I've been working on so hard, are they truly fulfilling to my soul's purpose? And so in real life, you may get a glimpse of a future you want with a new community or new dreams or a newfound role within society. So take what resonates, but you may realize that the current demanding career path or your public role in some way is fundamentally incompatible with it. This period might bring a professional crisis of consciousness, forcing you to restructure your work life so it doesn't look good on a resume, but actually it it aligns with a future that brings you joy and a sense of belonging. And so your action plan is to define your why. So get a crystal clear vision on your ultimate vision for the future and ask, what kind of life do you want? Not just what kind of job you think will look good, but also align your career to your vision. And so use this review period to make necessary course corrections in your profession and ensure your ambition is serving your deeper purpose. For my Cancer risings, this is a major transit about your public authority and the beliefs that back it up. During the Aries phase, Saturn made a quick and powerful entry into your 10th house of career, pushing you into a new position of leadership and responsibility. But the Pisces retrograde, the story is going to deepen with Saturn returning to your 9th house of belief systems, higher wisdom, and worldview. This is kind of like the final exam on your personal philosophy, a process you began to refine in 2023. Your ability to lead effectively is being tested against the solidity of what you truly believe. In real life, you may be making progress, whether internally or externally, when it comes to your public role. But when it comes to what you are pursuing, you may feel uncertain and realize that it doesn't align with your beliefs. Or perhaps you realize what you are trying to pursue in some way isn't aligned with your philosophy in some way. This retrograde forces you to see that your personal philosophy is a little bit underdeveloped, which is okay. You can fix it. You can no longer rely on other people's opinions. You must build your own unshakable moral and intellectual framework. This may mean going back to study or finding a mentor or defining what you stand for within your personal manifesto. And so your action plan is to question everything. Use this period to rigorously examine your beliefs. Why do you believe what you believe? Is it inherited or earned through experience? But also it's a time to build your wisdom. So actively seek knowledge and experiences that forge a philosophy that you can actually stand on. The inner wisdom will become the unshakable foundation for your public authority. Leo risings, welcome to the club. This is about confronting deep truths to live a more expansive life. The Aries phase, when Saturn was in Aries, it briefly entered your 9th house of worldview, pushing you to get serious about your personal philosophy through either study or travel or what you believe. But the Pisces retrograde, this focus returns to your 8th house of shared resources, debt, intimacy, the intense parts of life, or deep psychology. This retrograde is a final serious review of your deepest entanglements and psychological patterns. It's about clearing debts, both financial and emotional, to achieve true freedom. In real life, you may have a philosophical breakthrough and realize you want to live with more freedom and authenticity, but this retrograde immediately reveals how a significant financial debt or a complex, maybe a power dynamic of some way, is making that super hard to achieve or even impossible. The work at this time is to courageously face these entanglements, whether it's to create a stringent budget, pay off a loan, or engage in therapy to heal the psychological pattern that keeps you tied to someone else or something else in an unhealthy way. And so your action plan is to face the numbers, whether it's financial or energetic. It's time to look at the balance sheets of your life. Get radically honest about what you owe and what you share, but also commit to transformation. 8th house work is deep. Use this time to commit fully to therapy or a debt repayment plan or a difficult but necessary conversation. Take what resonates with that, because this is your key to unlocking the freedom you truly crave. For my Virgo risings, this transit is a deep look at your partnerships and their deepest dynamics, as well as your idea of partnerships. With Saturn entering Aries, it entered your 8th house of intimacy and shared resources, demanding you to get serious about how you merge your life with others or outside forces in some way. But with Pisces retrograde, the main focus returns to your 7th house of one-on-one partnerships. You've been reality testing your key relationships or idea of relationships since 2023, and this is your final review. The transit asks you if your partnerships or your idea of partnerships is built on mutual responsibility, clarity, and a shared reality. In real life, Maybe perhaps conversation about your finances or intimacy or a deep psychological realization puts a spotlight on the fundamental structure of your interpersonal dynamics in some way. You may discover that you and your partner or you and others have vastly different ideas about responsibility or commitment, or that you aren't expressing yourself with true vulnerability, or you are struggling to open up to others in the right ways. This period is about closing those gaps through honest communication and effort, or accepting that the foundational structure is simply not sound enough for the long haul. And so your action plan is to initiate talks, no matter how hard they are, because it's a time to have mature and responsible conversations about the state of your union. So discuss expectations, responsibilities, and long-term vision, even if this is a conversation with yourself, but it could be with others as well. But also test the foundation. Pay attention to how your partnership handles pressure or how others handle pressure around you. This period will reveal the true strength of your bonds. And so the goal is to build partnerships based on reality, not fantasy. For my Libra risings, this is about your relationships and daily practical realities that support them. Saturn briefly entered your 7th house of partnerships as Saturn moved into Aries, pushing for serious commitment and definition in your key relationships, or for you to take them more seriously at the very least. But with the Pisces retrograde of Saturn, this retrograde pulls focus back to your 6th house of daily routines, health, or work habits. And so this is the final phase of mastering your day-to-day life, which is a process you started in 2023. The universe is showing you that healthy relationships can only be built upon a foundation of healthy personal habits. And so in real life, maybe you decide to get serious with a partner, or to get serious about finding partners, or you have an improved image of what partnership looks like to you, no matter if it's platonic or romantic. But maybe you quickly realize your chaotic work schedule or lack of solid routine in your life are making you an unreliable and stressed out partner, or they're preventing you from pursuing the type of relationships that you want. And so this retrograde is the call to finally get your own life in order, to make your work more true to you, to commit to a healthier routine no matter how that looks for you, and to manage your stress better so that you can actually show up for the relationships that you want to build. And so your action plan is to become your own project. Focus on mastering your personal systems, whether it's with your health, your schedule, or your work habits. Make them truly impeccable. And then also connect habits to your relationships and understand that every healthy habit you build makes you a better partner, colleague, or friend. And a well-run life is an act of service to others as well. For my Scorpio risings, this is about integrating your work with your creative soul. With Saturn entering Aries, this made a pass through your 6th house of work and health, demanding you to implement better systems and discipline into your daily life. But with Saturn going retrograde in Pisces, the focus returns to your 5th house of joy, creativity, and self-expression. So since 2023, Saturn has been asking you to take your creative talents seriously. This retrograde is your final chance to answer that call and build a durable structure for your real life joy. In real life, this could look like maybe you've successfully disciplined your work life or developed habits that are starting to improve your quality of life in some ways, keyword some, but you feel empty or even burnt out. And this retrograde reveals it's because you've completely neglected your creative joy in some way. The work is to now apply that same 6th house discipline to your 5th house passions. This means scheduling time for your art or treating your hobby like a craft, channeling joy as if it's a requirement for you, and making your self-expression a non-negotiable part of your routine, not an afterthought. And so your action plan: schedule your joy. Literally book time in your calendar for your creative pursuits, whether it's romance or play or art. Take what resonates with that and defend this time as fiercely as you would a work meeting. But also build a creative practice. Turn your hobby into a true practice. Get the lessons or dedicate the hours, buy the supplies, and take your own creative potential seriously. Sagittarius Risings, this is about creating from a place of true emotional security. When Saturn entered Aries, it briefly entered your fifth house of creativity and joy, pushing you to take a passion project or romance a little bit more seriously. But with Saturn going retrograde in Pisces, the retrograde brings Saturn back to your fourth house of either home, family, or emotional foundations. This is the final phase of a long process of restructuring your private world. It's a test of your emotional maturity and the stability of your home base. In real life, maybe you try to launch a creative project or express and channel your joy in some way, but you may find that you are a little bit more emotionally volatile or easily discouraged in this pursuit. And so this retrograde will connect that instability directly to an unresolved issue at home or with your family history or within your deep emotional self in some way. You can't create authenticity in the world until you feel secure in your own private sanctuary. The work is to address family responsibilities or to heal an old wound or physically create a home environment that provides genuine peace and stability so that you can better express joy in your life. And so your action plan, tend to your roots. Focus your energy on your home and family life in some way. Have difficult conversations. Fix what's broken through therapy, meditation, conversations. Take what resonates and take responsibility for your emotional security. It's not up to others, even if you live with people, honestly. But also build your nest. Make your physical home a true sanctuary. A stable foundation is not a luxury. It's an essential platform for all creative expression. And so this is something you need to remember. Capricorn Rising, this is about your emotional foundation and the thoughts that create it. Your ruler, Saturn, briefly entered your fourth house of home and family with Saturn entering Aries, pushing you to take on a new level of responsibility within your private life. But with Saturn going retrograde in Pisces, the focus then returns to your third house of the mind, communication, and mindset. This is kind of like the final exam on your mental habits. Saturn is asking you to master your thoughts because your thoughts are the architects of your emotional reality, whether you realize it or not. In real life, you may take on a new responsibility within your home or within like shadow work or taking care of your innermost self. Maybe you'll care for a parent or create a new definition of home or even quite literally buy a property. Take what resonates and find yourself overwhelmed with like anxiety. It's almost like you can't maintain what you're taking care of. And so this retrograde will force you to see how your own negative thought patterns or problems with your communication style are a true source of this stress at this time. The work is to consciously retrain your mind, to challenge pessimistic narratives, practice mindful communication with relatives, and to build a more resilient, positive inner voice at this time. And so your action plan, become a mental architect. Pay close attention to your thoughts. Are they building you up or tearing you down? Practice mindfulness and cognitive reframing at this time. If you catch yourself in a negative thought loop, it's going to take work to get out of it, but this is your time to figure out how to do that. But also communicate with care because your words have immense power, especially at this time. So practice speaking with deliberation, compassion, and responsibility, whether it's with others or even with yourself. Aquarius Risings, this is a powerful look at your voice and the values that give it weight. With Saturn entering Aries, Saturn made a quick pass through your third house of communication, demanding you speak and think with more structure and authority. But with Saturn retrograding back into Pisces, the main event is that Saturn returns to your second house of finances, resources, and self-worth. This is kind of like the final audit of your values and your material reality. The transit demonstrates that a powerful voice is useless if it's not backed by solid values and tangible security. In real life, this may look like maybe you have a brilliant idea that you want to share with the world, or an improved way of communicating or processing information, or treating your thoughts and immediate environment with improvements, but perhaps you lack the financial resources or the core self-worth to actually make your ideas happen in reality. This retrograde forces you to get brutally honest about your financial situation, your relationship with security, or even your sense of self-worth. Take what resonates. And so the work is to build your self-esteem from the ground up, either by mastering your budget, developing your skills, and proving your worth to yourself first. You really do define your worth, even if you don't realize it. And so your action plan is to define your core values. What is truly non-negotiable for you? Write it down. Your values are the foundation of your self-worth, but also master your material world. Get your finances in order, build a budget, focus on creating tangible security. When you feel secure in your own resources, you will speak with unshakable confidence. And so it's about fixing your inside and your outside. And finally, for my Pisces risings, this is the grand finale of a life-altering transit for you. Saturn briefly entered your second house of self-worth and finances when Saturn entered Aries, pushing you to build tangible security and ground yourself in the material world. But with Saturn returning to your first house of identity for its final pass through, this is the last chapter of a deep reconstruction of who you truly are. This is about integrating all the lessons in maturity, discipline, and personal responsibility that you've learned since 2023. And so in real life, maybe you get a new job or an opportunity, or you develop a new skill or a mindset that either provides more financial stability or more self-worth. But it requires a new level of personal authority and maturity to actually turn what you have into something that can contribute maximum value into your life. And so you need to get to the core of who you really are so that any value you obtain as Saturn goes back into Aries can actually be put into good use. This final retrograde pass is your chance to step into your authority fully. It's about looking in the mirror and seeing a capable, resilient adult, not the person that you used to be, maybe a person who you once felt ashamed about being. It's the final shedding of your old skin in some way. And so your action plan, acknowledge your growth. Take time to consciously recognize how far you have actually come since 2023. If it helps to write it down, do it. And acknowledge the trials that you've endured and the strength that you have built, because these will truly give you more value than you realize. But also embody your authority. This is not a time to shrink. It's a time to own your presence, your decisions, and your new, more mature identity, because you have earned it. And so this is your time to finally step into it. If your natal Saturn is in Aries, then your life's work is to mature your powerful, impulsive will into disciplined, effective leadership. Your core fear is being powerless, which can lead to premature action. After an intense initiation of your Saturn return in Aries pushed you to take ownership, Saturn's move into Pisces asks you to look at the spiritual and emotional cost of that constant forward momentum. This is a time to review your relationship with rest and surrender. The Piscean energy will highlight where you fear of inaction and where that has led to burnout, and it is designed to dissolve any core belief that pausing is a form of failure. You may have launched a major new personal project during the Aries phase, feeling an immense drive to prove yourself, but now during the Pisces review, you could hit an unexpected wall of exhaustion or emotional overwhelm. This forces you to see that your strategy of pushing through is no longer sustainable, and the universe is asking you to build rest and reflection into your battle plan, and so take responsibility for your energy. Use this transit to build a new structure of sustainable leadership, tempering your courage with intuitive timing and self-compassion. If your natal Saturn is in Taurus, then your life's work is to build tangible, lasting security and understand true value, overcoming a deep fear of instability. After the Aries transit may have created friction by demanding swift financial risk, Saturn moves into Pisces, and this shifts the focus from external assets or external security to your internal state. This offers a key opportunity to dissolve the rigid fear-based attachments that you have to what you own or like what you physically see in your reality. The Piscean energy works to soften your cautious grip, asking you to review your core values on a soul level. It is designed to help you see that true stability is an internal feeling, not just about what you see externally. The quick changes, whether it's with what you invest in or what you're working towards from the Aries phase, is now the catalyst for a deeper inquiry. During this Pisces review, you might feel anxiety around this change, but it will force you to question what security really means to you. You might have a slow realization that clinging on to an old, stable idea in your life that you hated was more about fear than it was wisdom. And so take responsibility for your definition of security. This transit helps you to create a structure for fluid security, building a deep spiritual faith in your own inherent worth and your ability to provide for yourself. If your natal Saturn is in Gemini, your life's work is to master your mind and your voice, overcoming an anxiety about your intellectual capacity. Saturn in Pisces creates a challenging square to your natal Saturn, at least by sign, bringing a crisis of faith in pure logic. This transit will highlight where your need for facts has blocked you from deeper intuitive truths. This phase is designed to dissolve the fear of not knowing all the answers. It's a time to review the limits of your logic and see where empathy and intuition are the missing pieces of your intelligence. You might have confidently presented a well-researched plan, or at least started on one during the Saturn and Aries phase, but during this Pisces review, you'll find that your emotional, illogical human factors are derailing everything in some way. Your perfect logic won't be enough. You'll be forced to listen, empathize, and trust your gut in ways that feel uncomfortable but is essential for your success. And your task is to take responsibility for the limits of your logic. This transit pushes you to build a new mental model of integrated intelligence where your sharp mind works in harmony with your intuition. If your natal Saturn is in Cancer, then your life's work is to achieve emotional maturity and build secure foundations, overcoming a fear of vulnerability and abandonment. Saturn's move into Pisces will form a harmonious trine, at least by sign, offering a powerful flow of healing and grace to you. After the Aries transit may have pushed for uncomfortable independence, this transit allows you to compassionately review any dissolved inherited burdens and rigid emotional walls that you put up. It's an opportunity to release old dynamics with understanding, easing the fear of vulnerability. You might have set a firm boundary in your life during the Aries phase, and it felt a little bit scary because it's out of your comfort zone, but the Pisces review will now bring a wave of emotional clarity, helping you to see that this act of independence wasn't necessary for your own well-being. It will be easier to forgive past hurts and release past pains from a place of compassion. And so take responsibility for your emotional legacy and use this transit to create structure of emotional sovereignty, building your own secure inner home based on forgiveness and self-compassion. If your natal Saturn is in Leo, your life's work is to earn your spotlight through disciplined creative work, overcoming a fear of being insignificant, and to also use courage in the process. This transit asks you to make an awkward adjustment. It subtly highlights where your need for recognition has become a spiritual drain on your creative work or the way you express yourself. This phase is designed to dissolve your attachment to external validation and ask you to review your deepest motivations. It shifts the focus from the applause to the spiritual fulfillment of the creative act itself. You might have launched some sort of project or started expressing yourself in a way that had great acclaim during the Aries phase, but during this Pisces review, the attention might wane, or you might feel empty despite receiving the validation you thought you always wanted. You'll be forced to ask if you love the work itself or just the applause it brings, guiding you to a more authentic source of joy. And so take responsibility for your source of joy at this time. This transit helps you to create a structure for selfless creativity, finding spiritual fulfillment in your creative acts or your expressions itself, and treat this as a form of service at the same time. If your natal Saturn is in Virgo, your life's work is to be of practical, humble service and perfect a craft of some sorts, overcoming a fear or a crippling fear of imperfection. This transit creates a direct opposition, at least by sign, which is a major moment of reckoning. It will illuminate every area of your life where your need for control and perfection has created anxiety and blocked your flow. This phase is designed to dissolve your harsh inner critic by forcing you to accept what you cannot control. You are being asked to find a higher order within the chaos and to practice the art of surrender. You might have been forced to launch a new system at work or just in your life in general before you've tested every variable during the Aries phase, but during this Pisces review, things may inevitably go wrong and your instinct will be to criticize yourself and also others if that's relevant as well. And this transit will force you to let go, trust the process, and find solutions with flexibility instead of being so rigid. And so your task is to take responsibility for your relationship with chaos. This transit pushes you to build a framework for purposeful imperfection, learning to do your helpful work within a larger structure of faith and compassion. With your natal Saturn in Libra, your life's work is to master the art of fair and balanced relational energy, whether it's with partnerships or just situations, and also overcoming a fear of creating conflict for the sake of peace, if that makes sense. And after the Aries transit, there may have been some sort of like opposition that forced a confrontation in your life, because there is an opposition between Aries and Libra, at least by sign. But Saturn in Pisces asks you for compassionate adjustment. This phase helps you to dissolve the idealized fantasy of perfect conflict-free relationships or conflict-free anything, really. It's a time for review, helping you to realize that true harmony requires honesty, not just the avoidance of conflict. And so you might have finally stood up for yourself in some way about an imbalance, whether it's within like a system or with other people or with your passions. Take what resonates. And this would have happened during the Aries phase, and this may have been tense. But the Pisces review will ask you to process the fallout with empathy. You'll begin to understand that real partnership, real balance, real equal dynamics in your life, they really require compassionate realism, not a flawless performance of fairness. And so take responsibility for your own side of the equation, no matter what comes up. And this transit helps you to build a structure for authentic relating, integrating healthy self-assertion with compassionate realism to create partnerships or systems or beauty in this world that are both fair but also authentic to you. If your natal Saturn is in Scorpio, your life's work is to wield power and facilitate transformation with integrity, overcoming a deep fear of betrayal and loss of control. This transit forms a powerful and healing trine to your natal Saturn, at least by sign, and this offers a key opportunity to dissolve old resentments and forgive deep wounds. The Piscean energy helps you to release your rigid grip on control through a flow of compassion and spiritual understanding. This is about learning that true power includes the strength to let go. You might have been forced to reveal a secret or confront an issue that you had in your life, in some area of your life, head on during the Aries phase. But now during the Pisces review, you will find an unexpected capacity for forgiveness, both for yourself and others. This emotional release will be palpable, allowing you to let go of a burden that you've carried for years. And so your task is to take responsibility for your own healing at this time. This transit helps you to create a structure of empowered vulnerability, learning that your true power is magnified when you integrate it with faith and the courage to truly let go. If your natal Saturn is in Sagittarius, your life's work is to build a tangible structure for your beliefs, or overcoming a fear of being meaningless or being proven wrong, or a belief that, the life and the world that you're living is kind of futile. That can also be something that happens with Saturn and Sagittarius. And so this transit will create a challenging square, at least by sign, to your natal Saturn, testing the foundations of your belief system. It will highlight where your philosophies are too rigid or disconnected from emotional reality. This phase is designed to dissolve the intellectual pride that you have by challenging your dogma with experiences that don't fit your neat little theories. You might have decided to pursue something based on your beliefs or philosophies in some way during the Aries phase, but now during this Pisces review, you'll be challenged by people whose life experiences will contradict your own logic. You'll be forced to question your own certainty and find a more compassionate, inclusive understanding. And so your task is to take responsibility for the difference between knowledge and wisdom. This transit pushes you to build a structure for embodied faith, integrating your philosophies with deep intuitive understanding of the human condition. If your natal Saturn is in Capricorn, your life's work is to achieve mastery and build enduring structures with integrity, overcoming a deep fear of failure. This transit offers a supportive opportunity to review your spiritual purpose behind your ambitions. It will help you dissolve a rigid attachment to worldly status or to the results as the sole measure of your worth. It's a time to ask if your achievements are bringing you fulfillment and to integrate a deeper sense of meaning into your goals. And so you might have been pushed to pivot your strategies for success in some way during the Aries phase, but during the Pisces review, you'll find yourself reflecting on whether your success is making you happy on a soul level and what truly matters to you. You may realize that you need to build more time to rest, to be creative, or maybe you need to create more time for like family and friends within your schedule of trying to succeed in some way. And so take responsibility for the soul of your ambition. This transit helps you to create a new definition of meaningful success, integrating your drive for achievement with a deeper sense of purpose. If your natal Saturn is in Aquarius, your life's work is to contribute unique, structured innovations to society in some way, overcoming a fear of being rejected for your unconventional ideas. This transit asks you for a subtle adjustment, dissolving rigid intellectual detachment and connecting you to the shared humanity within your systems that you are meant to serve. So don't just like create something that you think is going to work, but it doesn't actually connect to the collective. This is going to help you connect from an empathetic angle, if that makes sense. I didn't know how to word that at first, but I think I got that right. But the Piscean energy will be challenging you to account for feelings and real world messiness, not just brilliant logic. And so you might have started on like this framework that you were really excited about during the Aries phase, but now during the Pisces review, you'll realize your system or the thing that you're trying to build isn't accounting for people's emotional realities. You'll be challenged to adapt your vision into a place of more empathy and flexibility, which grounds your ideals into human compassion in some way. And so your task is to take responsibility for the human element of your vision. This transit helps you build a structure for compassionate innovation, grounding your futuristic thinking in a deep empathetic understanding of the human condition. And so whatever you do it with empathy. That's all I got to say about that. And if your natal Saturn's in Pisces, your life work is to bring structure to the boundless, whether it's spirituality, creativity, or empathy, overcoming a fear of being overwhelmed by the world. This is a direct conjunction. This is kind of like Saturn return 2.0. I'm sorry to say that, although it's okay. You're going to be okay, I promise. This is just going to tie up the loose ends. It's a call to order, asking you to fully step into your role as a master of the intangible. This phase is designed to dissolve any lingering victim consciousness or escapist tendencies that you lean into, and it's your final opportunity to see where you still give your power away and to integrate the lessons over the past few years into your life that can be acted out or pursued in an active way once Saturn goes back into Aries. And after setting a new boundary during the Aries phase, the Pisces review is just going to test it. You are being challenged to see yourself not as a sensitive person, sort of like being bombarded by the world, but as a spiritually disciplined creator who can give form to their vision with authority. And so take responsibility for your spiritual authority. This transit provides the final push to create a tangible spiritual legacy, whether it's a healing practice, your art, your business, whatever it is that you do, and you need to give yourself concrete form to your compassion, and this will teach you how to do that. If your natal Saturn's in the first house, your life's work is to build a mature, authentic identity and to take full responsibility for your presence in the world, overcoming a deep fear of being judged or seen as inadequate. This transit asks you to dissolve the rigid, self-critical mask that you wear. It's a time to review why you feel so responsible for being perfect. The Piscean energy is designed to soften your harsh self-judgment and help you approach your identity with more self-compassion. You might have felt pressure to take on leadership roles or to be more strong, if that makes sense, during the Aries phase. But during this Pisces review, you'll be forced to confront the intense self-criticism that arises. You'll see how your fear of judgment is a heavy burden, and the Pisces energy will help you practice self-forgiveness and accept yourself, flaws and all. So take responsibility for your self-compassion and use this transit to build a new identity structure that is both strong and flexible, one that allows for human imperfection. If your natal Saturn's in the second house, your life's work is to build tangible security, master your resources, and establish a solid sense of self-worth, overcoming a core fear of scarcity. This transit asks you to dissolve a rigid fear-based attachment to money or material goods or even your self-worth. It's the time to review your core values and question where your sense of security truly comes from. The Piscean energy helps you to see that your self-worth is not defined by your bank account or by what you own It's designed by your inner resources and your faith. And so you might have been pushed to make a quick investment or to really push for self-improvement in some way during the Aries phase. But during this Pisces review, you may feel a deep anxiety about whatever risks you're taking in life. And so this will force you to question what security truly means to you, separating your survival from your spiritual and emotional well-being. And so take responsibility for your values and use this transit to build a foundation of intrinsic self-worth that is separate from your material assets in some way, creating a more resilient sense of abundance. If your natal Saturn's in the third, your life work is to master your mind and your voice, communicating with authority and integrity while overcoming a fear of being misunderstood. This transit asks you to dissolve rigid, pessimistic thought patterns. It's a time to review not just what you say, but the emotional and spiritual energy behind your words. It challenges a mind that fears being wrong and to embrace intuition and empathy as valid forms of intelligence. You might have finally said something that you've been holding back during the Aries phase, or you might have been really having a lot of conviction behind your ideas. But during this Pisces review, you'll reflect on how your usual communication style is shaped by fear or negativity. You'll be challenged to learn to speak and listen with more compassion and intuition. And so take responsibility for your mental environment and use this transit to build new communication structures that integrate your serious, thoughtful mind with empathy and trust. If your natal Saturn is in the fourth house, then your core lesson is that your life's work is to build a secure emotional foundation and to handle family or home responsibilities with maturity, overcoming deep fears of instability or being burdened by your past. This transit offers an opportunity to dissolve old family karma and inherited emotional burdens. It's a time to review your emotional walls that you've built up for protection. The energy of Pisces allows for a wave of forgiveness and grace, making it possible to release ancestral weight with understanding. And how this may apply to your real life is you might have decided to move or set a firm boundary with a parent or with the idea that comes from your past during the Aries phase. But the Pisces review will then bring a wave of emotional processing, helping you to see how old home or family dynamics have shaped your fears. It's a powerful time for forgiveness and building your own foundation. And your task during this transit is to take responsibility for your emotional legacy. Use this transit to build your own sense of inner peace based on forgiveness and spiritual understanding separate from your family history. If your natal Saturn's in the fifth house, then your life's work is to give disciplined form to your creativity and joy, overcoming a fear that your self-expression is frivolous or it's unworthy. This transit asks you to dissolve your creative blocks by reviewing your relationship with joy. It challenges the belief that pleasure must be earned or that your art or your joy must be serious to be valid. It's a time to connect with the spiritual healing power of play and to dismantle the inner critic that really holds you back. How this applies to your life is maybe you finally started that pursuit that brings you joy during the Saturn and Aries phase, but during this Pisces review, you'll confront the inner critic that tells you that you're not good enough. You'll be invited to find joy in the creative process itself, regardless of the outcome. And your task during this transit is to take responsibility for your own joy. Use this transit to build a disciplined creative practice that is fueled by your spiritual inspiration and self-acceptance, not by a need for external validation. If your natal Saturn is in the sixth house, then your life's work is to master your daily routines or your health and how you act on your acts of service, overcoming a deep-seated anxiety about chaos and imperfection. This transit asks you to dissolve the rigid, anxious perfectionism that often accompanies this placement. It's a time to review how your need for control is impacting your mental and spiritual well-being. Pisces energy introduces the wisdom of rest, surrender, and flexibility to your daily life. And so how this may apply to your life is you might have started an intense new plan for wellness, whether it's through fitness, diet, or mental health during the Saturn and Aries phase, but the Pisces review will then force you to find a more sustainable but compassionate approach. You'll see that true well-being requires listening to your body and spirit, not just imposing iron-fisted discipline. And so your task is to take responsibility for your relationship with control, and use this transit to build a daily routine that is both effective and spiritually nourishing, integrating discipline with a flow in life. With natal Saturn in the 7th house, your life's work is to build mature, committed, and balanced partnerships, or an idea of partnerships, overcoming a fear of making the wrong commitment or being trapped. This transit asks you to dissolve the idealized fantasies that you project onto your partners. It's a time to review your relationship contracts with compassion and realism. The Piscean energy helps you to see the soul behind the role, encouraging forgiveness and acceptance of human imperfection and letting go of the idea that you need a perfect relationship. And how this may apply to your life is you might have had a blunt conversation about the future of a relationship during the Aries phase, or you may have gotten really real about what it is that you want, but the Pisces review will then help you see your partner or your idea of partnerships a lot more clearly with all the flaws and humanity. It's a time for forgiveness and finding harmony in what's real and not what's ideal. And so your task is to take responsibility for your expectations and use this transit to build partnerships that are grounded in compassionate, honest reality, not just idealized structures. If your natal Saturn's in the 8th house, then your life's work is to master the realms of intimacy, shared resources, and transformation with integrity, overcoming deep fears of betrayal or loss of control. This transit offers an opportunity to dissolve old psychological wounds and resentments. It's a time to review your deepest fears and practice the art of surrender. The Piscean energy brings a powerful wave of emotional release, allowing for a level of forgiveness that can be a true relief to your soul. And how this may apply to your life is you might have finally decided to enter therapy or to deal with a deep-seated issue during the Saturn and Aries phase. But the Pisces review will support this work immensely, allowing you to forgive someone or yourself and let go of a psychological weight that you've been carrying for years. And so your task is to take responsibility for your own healing and use this transit to build a new structure for your inner life based on forgiveness, trust, and courage to surrender control. If your natal Saturn's in the 9th house, then your life's work is to build a solid, lived philosophy and worldview, overcoming a fear of having your beliefs proven wrong. And so this transit asks you to dissolve intellectual rigidity and dogma. It's a time to review your beliefs and see where they lack compassion or connection to a greater universal truth. It challenges your black and white thinking and asks you to find faith in what cannot be proven by facts alone. And how this may apply to your life is you might have enrolled in a challenging program or adopted a new philosophy in general during the Saturn and Aries phase, but the Pisces review will then challenge your certainty, forcing you to consider other perspectives with more empathy. You'll move from needing to be right to seeking a more inclusive wisdom, and so your task is to take responsibility for the difference between knowledge and wisdom and use this transit to build a better belief system that is both intellectually sound and spiritually expansive. If your natal Saturn's in the 10th house, then your life's work is to build a career and public reputation with integrity and authority, overcoming a deep fear of failure in the eyes of the world. This transit asks you to review the spiritual purpose behind your ambition. It's a time to dissolve a rigid attachment to status and success as the sole measure of your worth. You will be pushed to connect your professional goals to a deeper sense of purpose and mission. And how this may apply to your life is you might have launched your own business, or you may have gotten really real with your ambitions or like your goals at the very least during the Saturn and Aries phase. But during the Pisces review, you could experience a crisis of meaning, asking yourself, is this all there is to it? And this is a prompt to find fulfillment in your work, not just success. And so take responsibility for your mission. Use this transit to build a career structure that is not only successful, but also spiritually and emotionally fulfilling. If your natal Saturn's in the 11th house, then your life's work is to build a strong community and contribute to a collective vision, overcoming a fear of being rejected by the group or that your dreams are unattainable. This transit asks you to review your ideals with compassion. It's a time to dissolve rigid expectations of your friends and community and to connect with the shared humanity that unites you all. It's a challenge to lead with forgiveness and empathy rather than rigid rules. And how this may apply to your life is you might have started a new social movement during the Aries phase, or you may have connected very differently to a cause, or you may have gotten a new friend group. Take what resonates with that, but the Pisces review will then test your idealism against expose the messy reality of human dynamics. You will be challenged to find unity in shared compassion, not just in shared goals. And so your task is to take responsibility for the heart of your community. Use this transit to build a social structure that is both effective and animated by a spirit of collective compassion. And finally, if your natal Saturn's in your 12th house, then your life's work is to master the unseen realms, bringing structure to your spiritual life and confronting subconscious fears, overcoming a deep sense of karmic weight. This transit is a homecoming for your Saturn. It's a time to review your entire spiritual journey, dissolving any remaining feelings of martyrdom or escapism, and to fully claim your spiritual authority. It's a chance to integrate all you've learned into your inner world with discipline and wisdom. And how this may apply to your life is that you might have committed to a daily meditation practice or a spiritual practice or something that really helps your mental health during the Saturn in Aries phase. But the Pisces review will feel like a deep integration where you finally understand the purpose of your struggles. You'll see yourself not as a victim of circumstance, but as a disciplined spiritual sort of guru or like a spiritual warrior, if that makes sense. And so your task is to take responsibility for your spiritual mastery and use this transit to build a tangible practice for your inner work, bringing your wisdom and compassion into the world in a structured yet meaningful way. If your natal Jupiter is in Aries, then you naturally grow by channeling pure, undiluted life force into the world. You learn and expand by trusting the primal impulse to act, to begin, and to exist as a distinct and courageous person. But this powerful impulse can exist without a clear purpose, leading to action for its own sake, or a constant search for the next spark without a sustainable flame. The pipe dream is a life of thrilling beginnings that never mature into an established identity or lasting creation. The Aries push with Saturn in Aries intensifies your natural urge to make a bold move right now, but the Pisces review follows as a needed reality check, forcing you to question the motive behind the impulse. For example, you might feel a sudden overwhelming urge to quit your job and to move to a new city or to start a new project, and it feels like a courageous leap. The review, however, will force you to sit with that feeling and discern if it's a genuine calling towards a new future or a powerful yet misguided attempt to outrun a deeper dissatisfaction with yourself. This transit dissolves action that is merely an escape, demanding that your courage be aligned with your soul. The job to do at this time is to animate your will with intention. Your task is to look before you leap, not to kill the impulse, but to ensure the path that you're forging is one that you actually want to walk on. If your natal Jupiter's in Taurus, then you grow naturally by creating a deep sense of inner value and grounding yourself in the physical sensory world. You build real wisdom by learning what is truly sustainable, nourishing, and worthy of your energy. The desire for stability can morph into a fear of change, causing you to cling to what's familiar long after it has ceased to nourish you. The pipe dream is a life of perfect, unchanging comfort that has become a beautiful, stagnant pond. The Aries push with Saturn in Aries will challenge your foundations, urging a quick change that feels threatening to your stability, but the Pisces review then forces you to locate your worth. For example, you might have a secure, well-paying job that you know is a dead end. You stayed because of the tangible benefits, whether it's the salary or the title, and you feel like these maybe measure your value. This transit creates a situation where you feel the deep emptiness of that equation. It dissolves the illusion that your worth is tied to your safety, forcing you to find a foundation of self-worth that exists with or without external props. And so the job for you to do is to anchor your security within. Your task is to build a life based on what genuinely sustains and enriches you, trusting that your natural sense of value is the only true currency you possess, as well as the most valuable one. With natal Jupiter and Gemini, you grow naturally by perceiving the world from multiple perspectives and weaving connections between disparate ideas. You expand through curiosity, dialogue, and the mental agility to see every side of the story. Possessing all the facts can be mistaken for having the truth, though, leading to a detailed but superficial understanding. The pipe dream is to be the expert at what it is that you love, able to keep up intellectually, but unable to create genuine understanding or connection from that. The Aries push with Saturn in Aries will urge you to take one of your many perspectives and declare it with conviction. The Pisces review, however, then challenges the limits of pure logic. For example, you might find yourself in a disagreement with a loved one. Maybe you have all the facts on your side, whether it's like dates, times, screenshots, direct quotes, whatever you have it, and you logically prove your point, yet you realize you've completely alienated them and lost the emotional truth of the moment. This transit is meant to dissolve the need to be right and forces you to integrate empathy, teaching, and some truths that can only be understood through feeling. And so transform information into wisdom at this time. Your task is to use your intellectual gifts, not just to argue a point, but to build bridges of understanding between different worlds and different people. If your natal Jupiter is in Cancer, you naturally grow by understanding the power of emotional undercurrents and creating secure inner sanctums based on your truth. You grow by learning what it means to belong, either to a place, to a history, and most importantly, to yourself. But the need for emotional safety can create rigid walls, causing you to define yourself by who and what you are not. The pipe dream is a perfectly defended fortress that protects you from harm, but also locks you away from love and new life. The Aries push with Saturn in Aries, though, forces you to act with emotional independence, stepping out from behind your defenses. The Pisces review, however, then expands your definition of us. For example, you may hold a long-standing emotional boundary with a certain type of person or a particular family member based on past hurts. This transit will bring someone into your life or something into your life that fits that category, but who clearly needs your compassion. It dissolves the old rigid boundary by showing you a reflection of your own humanity in someone or something that you once considered like the other, or that something that wasn't important to you, expanding your capacity for true belonging. And so let your sanctuary have a door. Your task is to use your deep understanding of emotional needs to create more compassion and inclusivity into your world, starting with the person or the situations that are right in front of you. If your natal Jupiter is in Leo, then how you grow naturally is by radiating the unique vital essence of your true self. You expand through joyful, wholehearted, creative expression and the courage to let your inner light shine. The joy of self-expression, though, can become a hunger for self-validation, causing you to perform a version of yourself rather than simply being yourself. The pipe dream is to be adored by a faceless crowd for a brilliant performance of a person that you actually aren't. And so the Aries push with Saturn and Aries gives you the courage to take center stage in some area of your life, but the Pisces review then audits your authenticity. For example, you might be known for your witty, magnetic storytelling. Whether you're at a gathering or you're at work or whatever it may be, you tell a story that gets a huge reaction, but you know you embellished key details for dramatic effect. In the quiet after the applause, the transit forces you to feel the deep internal dissonance, or the gap between the admiration you received and the truth of who you are. It dissolves the need for any expression that isn't rooted in your genuine heart. And so align your expression with your essence. Your task is to find the courage to be authentically you, trusting that your true self is more than enough and that its light is more powerful when it's undiluted or unmasked. If you have your natal Jupiter in Virgo, then you grow naturally through the process of refinement, analysis, and humble improvement. You grow by bringing a discerning eye to the world, seeking not to judge, but to make things better in a tangible, practical way. But the drive for improvement can become a neurotic obsession with an impossible standard of perfection. The pipe dream is a flawlessly designed plan for a life that is too perfect to ever risk living in the messy real world. And so the Aries push with Saturn and Aries will force you to begin a project or like any sort of task before you feel fully ready, challenging your need for complete control. But the Pisces review then teaches you the wisdom of imperfection. For example, you might meticulously plan a complex project down to the last detail, but maybe an unforeseen event completely derails your perfect plan. Your initial reaction could be panic or frustration, but this transit will allow you to surrender to the new reality where you are forced to improvise, and in doing so, you discover a more creative, resilient, and ultimately better solution than you originally had planned. And so find the sacred in the flawed. Your task is to use your incredible gifts for discernment to serve life as it is, trusting that good enough and done is infinitely more valuable than perfect and imaginary. If your natal Jupiter is in Libra, then you grow naturally by mastering the art of perspective. You expand by learning to see the world through other people's eyes, developing a sense of objectivity, justice, and the beauty of true equilibrium. The desire for equilibrium, though, can devolve into a desperate need to keep superficial peace, even at the cost of truth. The pipe dream is a life of perfect, placid harmony that is built on a foundation of unspoken resentment and necessary conflicts avoided. And with the Aries push with Saturn and Aries, this may force you to take a stand for your own needs, disrupting the comfortable balance. But the Pisces review then dissolves your idealized ideas of peace. So, for example, you may have spent years playing the mediator between two feuding friends or relatives, carefully managing conversations to avoid an explosion. But this transit will make it clear that your peacemaking is actually enabling their dysfunction. You are forced to step back and let them have a messy, honest, and necessary conflict, realizing that true harmony can't be brokered or sort of mediated by you, but must be found by them. And so champion authentic peace. Your task is to use your gift for diplomacy to facilitate truth, not to hide from it, because true balance can hold the weight of honest disagreement. If your natal Jupiter is in Scorpio, you naturally grow by courageously engaging with the deep, complex truths of life. You grow through psychological honesty, forming transformative bonds, and understanding the power that comes from confronting what is hidden. A desire to understand life's hidden dynamics can become a need to control them, leading to suspicion and an inability to truly surrender. The pipe dream is to have everybody else figured out, which prevents you from ever having to be vulnerable yourself. The Aries push with Saturn and Aries will encourage you to take decisive action on a deeply buried issue. But the Pisces review with Saturn and Pisces then provides the key to transformation, which is surrender. For example, in a close relationship, you might find yourself subtly trying to manage your partner, tracking their moods and motivations to feel psychologically safe. This transit will reveal the deep toll that this is taking on real intimacy. You are faced with the choice to continue to control and remain safe but separate, or to surrender to the messy and unpredictable parts of life, which actually might be more rewarding because it creates a process of genuine trust. And so use your power to heal. Your task is to apply your deep insight with compassion, learning that true strength isn't found in controlling others, but in having the courage to transform yourself. With natal Jupiter in Sagittarius, you grow naturally by synthesizing knowledge and experience into a coherent personal philosophy. You expand by searching for meaning, connecting the dots of your life into a larger narrative of truth. But a powerful personal philosophy can harden into an unshakable dogma, making you a preacher instead of a student. And the pipe dream is having a grand theory about everything that closes you off from the wisdom of any new experience. And so the Aries push with Saturn and Aries helps you to act boldly on your core belief or on a core belief. The Pisces review with Saturn and Pisces, though, then compassionately dismantles the walls around that belief. For example, you might hold a strong conviction about the right way to live based on your studies or experiences. You then form a deep connection with someone or something whose life, while happy and meaningful, completely contradicts your philosophy. This transit dissolves your rigid certainty and forces you to expand your definition of truth to be large enough and compassionate enough to include theirs as well. And so your job is to turn your philosophy into a living wisdom. Your task is to stay curious, recognizing that the goal isn't to arrive at the final answer, but to remain engaged in an ever-expanding lifelong quest for meaning. If you have your natal Jupiter in Capricorn, you grow naturally through the patient mastery of structure and form. You have a natural ability to understand time or integrity and the cause and effect that builds a meaningful reality. Your growth comes from applying this wisdom with discipline. Your focus on tangible results, though, can make you mistake structure for the soul, leading you to honor the rules more than the reason for them. The pipe dream, though, is a perfectly constructed life that feels hollow, achieving a great feat of engineering, but forgetting how to actually create a home out of that. The Aries push with Saturn in Aries will challenge you to take a bold, immediate risk that shortcuts your usual long-term planning, but the Pisces review with Saturn in Pisces then audits the why behind your structures. For example, you might have spent years building a flawless reputation for competence in your field. During the review, though, the Pisces review, though, a situation arises where maintaining that reputation would require a compromise of your deeper personal ethics. You're forced to realize that your structure of your reputation is absolutely meaningless if it doesn't serve the soul with integrity. You might choose to break a rule just to do the right thing, discovering that true mastery lies in knowing when form must yield to spirit. And so build with integrity inside and out. Your task is to ensure that the enduring structures you create are animated by a deeply held personal meaning, making them not just impressive, but resonant to your soul as well. If you have your natal Jupiter in Aquarius, you naturally grow by developing a systems-level perspective that sees the patterns connecting all of us. You expand by detaching from the personal ego to innovate for a collective future. A focus on the ideal system, though, can lead to a detachment from the real messy humans who make up that system. The pipe dream is a perfectly designed utopia that is cold, logical, and uninhabitable for actual people because you don't want conflict or war or whatever it may be. The Aries push, though, with Saturn and Aries will encourage you to take a pioneering role in implementing a new idea for a group. The Pisces review, though, with Saturn and Pisces then floods the system with empathy. For example, you might design a perfectly efficient new workflow for your team that on paper should improve everything, but you notice morale plummets. Maybe it's too hard for some reason. The transit forces you to see beyond the blueprint and connect with the human experience because people feel disempowered and disconnected by the new process. You learn that the most brilliant system is useless if it doesn't account for the hearts of the people within it. And so ground your ideals in humanity. Your task is to bridge the gap between your visionary intelligence and your compassion, remembering that progress must serve people, not just principles. And if your natal Jupiter's in Pisces, you naturally grow by recognizing the interconnectedness of all life and dissolving the illusion of the separate self. You expand through exercising boundaries, compassion, trusting your intuition, and surrendering to a divine flow or to tap into your creativity. Take what resonates with that. But living without clear boundaries can make it difficult to function in a world of sharp edges, leading to escapism. The pipe dream is to feel a beautiful oceanic connection to everything, but be unable to translate that feeling into a single concrete helpful act. And so the Aries push with Saturn and Aries will force you to take decisive action for yourself, to define where you end and another begins. But the Pisces review with Saturn and Pisces then gives that new boundary a purpose. For example, you may have a deeply creative or spiritual insight that you hold as a beautiful feeling. The transit will create an urgent need to give it form, to face the frustrating, imperfect work of writing the poem, or starting the healing practice, or having the difficult conversation, or going after that big dream that you have. It teaches you that the form is not the enemy of your imagination or what you dream of. It's the vessel that allows what you dream of to be shared with the outside world. And so give your compassion a safe haven. Your task is to choose one piece of your expansive vision almost and build a real world structure for it, proving that the deepest spiritual or creative truth is found in tangible acts of service that you can see in the real world. If your natal Jupiter's in the first, then you grow and expand naturally through your personality and optimistic presence. Saturn will test your default optimism with the real-world problems that can't be smiled away. The Pisces review will dissolve any fakeness, forcing you to find a faith in yourself that's real even when you're not feeling cheerful. For example, you might face a setback that shakes your confidence, and you'll have to learn that true strength isn't about never failing, but about how you get back up. And so the job for you to do is to ground your optimism. Your task is to learn that real faith isn't ignoring your problems, but believing that you have the inner strength and resilience to get through them. With your natal Jupiter in the second, then you grow and expand naturally, either through your money, your resources, your finances, your sense of self-worth, what you have in the tangible world, or skills. Take what resonates with that. And so Saturn will make you get serious about a long-term financial plan or something about improving your self-worth, maybe like saving for retirement or paying off your debt. The Pisces review will dissolve any magical thinking about what you own, like maybe hoping for a lottery win or just hoping that things will get better without action. It forces you to look at what you truly value beyond just stuff and to build your security on a foundation of self-worth, not just about like what you have externally. And so get your money aligned with your soul. Get your finances and what you own aligned with your soul. Your task is to build in a way that feels good and reflects your real values, like investing ethically or saving for an experience that truly matters to you. With natal Jupiter in the third, you grow and expand naturally, either through learning, talking, taking in your immediate environment. You just love to absorb things. And Saturn will demand that you speak with a more sense of like substance and integrity, not just chattering for the sake of it. The Pisces review will dissolve any tendency for gossip or superficial talk or ignoring like the deeper parts of your thoughts, forcing you to communicate with more empathy. You might realize that your clever jokes are actually hurtful or that you need to listen more when you speak because that will help you learn so much more. And so become a better communicator, a better listener, and a better learner. Your task is to use your words to actually connect with and heal people, not just to show off how much you know. And you're not trying to prove your intellect, you're trying to actually use it in the right way. With natal Jupiter in the fourth, you grow and expand naturally, either through your home, your family, emotional security, maybe learning about your past or healing deep wounds in some way. And so Saturn will pressure you to build a real stable home base, whether internally or externally, which might mean taking on a mortgage or more family responsibility or taking on shadow work or healing or therapy. Take what resonates with that. And so the Pisces review is a time to dissolve old family baggage and limiting beliefs that you inherited. It asks you to expand your idea of home to include a feeling of inner peace that you create for yourself. And so make your home a real sanctuary. Your task is to do the emotional work to heal your internal issues, whether it's from your past or whatever it may be, so that you can build a foundation that feels genuinely safe and supportive for your future growth. If your natal Jupiter is in the fifth, then you grow and expand naturally through your creativity, hobbies, maybe romance. When you're having fun, you learn. That's basically the summary of this placement. And so Saturn will challenge you to take your creative talents seriously and build a real disciplined practice around them. The Pisces review with Saturn and Pisces will dissolve any creative blocks that come from your ego or a need for attention. It helps you to reconnect with the pure spiritual joy of making things just for the sake of it or creating or having fun just for the sake of it. And so, for example, you might stop worrying about getting likes on social media and start painting what you truly love. Or instead of taking your dates so seriously, maybe you just go there and you learn to live in the moment. And so build a routine for your joy. Your task is to treat your passions with the respect they deserve by giving them a real schedule and structure in your life. If you have natal Jupiter in the sixth, then you grow and expand naturally either through your daily job, your health routines, and being helpful and of service in some way. And so Saturn will force you to get disciplined about your health and your work because maybe there's something out of sync with it. The Pisces review will dissolve any tendency you have to be a martyr, whether it means working late every night or always saying yes to helping others at your own expense. It teaches you that you setting boundaries is crucial for your own well-being. It really is. And so this is a time for you to put your own oxygen mask on first. If we're metaphorically speaking, your task is to learn that taking care of your own health and energy is more important than anything else, because instead of exerting your energy and not being at 100% and then nobody's happy, you can keep yourself happy, which can help you be of better service in the future. If your natal Jupiter is in the 7th, then you grow and expand naturally through significant partnerships. You're really someone who grows when you're within a one-on-one dynamic. I have Jupiter in the 7th because you learn so much from other people, whether it's marriage or business, whatever it may be. And so Saturn will test the commitment and real-world structure of your key relationships. The Pisces review with Saturn in Pisces will dissolve any fairy tale expectations you have about your partnerships. It forces you to see them as the real flawed people and love them for who they are, not for who you wish they were. And it's when you know who they truly are that you can actually start to learn from them, and then it can become this mutually beneficial flourishing that helps everybody win. And so build real relationships at this time, or really build a true idea of what relationships looks like, because your task is to stop chasing a perfect ideal and to do the hard work of creating partnerships based on honesty, forgiveness, and mutual respect, not just fantasy. With natal Jupiter in the 8th, you grow and expand naturally either through deep intimacy, shared money, psychological breakthroughs, basically the intense parts of life. You are able to transform from that, and that's how you actually grow the best. You are probably very resilient with this placement, and Saturn will force you to get responsible about these intense areas, maybe like creating a budget with your partner, tackling debt, or committing to therapy. Take what resonates with that. The Pisces review is a time of deep healing, helping you dissolve old fears about trust and to find faith in your own resilience. And so become the expert on your own baggage. Your task is to bring structure to your own healing journey so that you can handle life's toughest situations with integrity and strength, which will help you learn and expand so much at this time. With natal Saturn in the 9th, you grow and expand naturally through your big ideas, maybe education, your worldview. You love to expand your horizons and go out of your comfort zone because that's how you learn best. And Saturn will demand that you ground your philosophies in reality and build something tangible from what you know, like starting a business based on your beliefs, not just talking about it. And the Pisces review will dissolve any rigid or preachy attitudes, asking you to find the universal and compassionate truth in all of your beliefs. And so maybe instead of just preaching what you believe, you actually put it into action. Maybe you get a job, maybe you start dating people that sort of meet your philosophy, whatever area of life you're pursuing. This is what you're truly being called to do. And so live your philosophy. Don't just talk about it. Your task is to turn your big ideas into humble, practical, and helpful ways of living. With natal Jupiter in the 10th, you grow and expand naturally either through your career and public reputation. It's about learning your role in the world and how you succeed. That really helps you to grow. And so Saturn will test your professional integrity and long-term plans. The Pisces review with Saturn in Pisces will challenge you to align your career with a real purpose, dissolving any ambition that's just about ego or status. You'll be forced to ask if your job has a soul. For example, you might hit a career milestone of some way and feel surprisingly empty, pushing you to find more meaningful work. Or you might get the job that you're looking for, but find that, what does it actually mean? I don't even want to do this job. And so make your career a calling. Your task is to use your position to be of service and lead with compassion. Building a legacy, that's about more than just a paycheck. And I know this economy is tough, but for this placement, living in your authenticity, you will have more luck and success that way than just pursuing something for the sake of success. With the natal Jupiter in the 11th, you grow and expand naturally either through friends, groups, hopes for the future, or your role in society. And so Saturn will pressure you to take a more responsible role within your friend group or your role in society and to make a realistic plan for your future dreams. The Pisces review with Saturn in Pisces will dissolve any detached, pie in the sky idealism, forcing you to engage with the messy reality of your community. You might realize that a friendship group is more about surface level fun than real support, and this could actually sort of like drain you. Or you might find that a cause is more about like performative activism when you want to be like a true advocate who makes a difference in this world. And so ground your hopes in reality. Your task is to learn that your big vision for the future and your big vision for the world is best built through real supportive connections that you make. And so it's about putting your true ideals into reality. If your natal Jupiter's in the 12th, then you grow and expand naturally either through your spiritual life, your intuition, your imagination. You take on like these learning lessons, almost like an intuitive download in some way. And so Saturn will demand that you get disciplined about your spiritual practice, whether it's through meditating every day, not just when you feel like it, or like actually going to therapy, doing breath work, or really like writing your subconscious thoughts down, but also setting firm energetic boundaries. The Pisces review is your chance to master this area, dissolving any escapist habits and helping you to build a real world container for your powerful intuition. You can actually put your intuition into reality and build something out of it. And so build a bridge from your inner world to your outer world. Your task is to use discipline to give your spiritual gifts a real structure, like a daily creative practice or a volunteer schedule. Maybe you can help others heal as well, just so that you can actually have an outlet for these thoughts, and it'll help you grow so much and feel more fulfilled. If you have natal Neptune in the first house, how you connect to the divine is that your intuition is your identity. You connect by being a channel for the feelings and energies around you. Your artistic gift is often through your very presence, whether your style, your aura, or your compassionate way of being. But your sense of self can feel blurry. By absorbing everyone else's energy, you can struggle to know who you are and what you want, leading to weak boundaries and feeling like a psychic sponge that doesn't want to absorb everything. And how this Saturn transit can help is that this transit forces you to build a stronger sense of self. The Pisces review is especially helpful because it teaches you to set boundaries with self-compassion. It helps you dissolve the fear that being solid will make you like any less spiritual or compassionate, whatever you want to be. So for example, you learn that saying no to protect your energy actually makes your yes so much more powerful and fulfilling and authentic. Your practical goal at this time is to build a strong sense of self that is still open and compassionate. This means creating daily grounding practices that help you feel centered. You can then use your empathy in the world from a place of strength and not depletion. If your natal Neptune is in the second house, how you connect to the divine is that you see the spiritual or the imaginative within the material world. You connect to a sense of abundance either through beauty, nature, and creating comfort in some way. Your artistic gift often lies in design or style or cultivating a beautiful environment. The fog here is almost always sort of like this financial or self-worth confusion. You might have a disorganized approach to money or your self-worth, feeling like budgets are restrictive or unspiritual, or that you're not really worth that much. And this can lead to some sort of instability or make it hard to charge what your talents are worth. Like, let's say you're trying to make money, it can be hard to know what you are worth. But how this Saturn transit may help is that Saturn arrives like a kind but firm coach when it comes to your worth. It will push you to review the reality of your finances and your self-worth and make a real world plan. The Pisces review helps you to dissolve any shame around money or worth, teaching you to see a budget not just as punishment, but as a spiritual or creative tool to fund your most important dreams. And your practical goal is to align your money with your values and to align your self-worth with who you are. Use Saturn's focus to create a solid financial or self-worth based foundation. This will empower you to build a life that is both financially secure and spiritually rich, proving that money can be a wonderful tool for making a real impact and that your worth can do the same. If your natal Neptune's in the third house, your intuition flows through your thoughts and your words. You're a natural poet or storyteller, connecting to the divine through inspired ideas and conversations that touch on deeper truths. You're probably a very creative, almost poetic speaker in some way, or your thoughts work that way at the very least. But your communication can be vague and easily misunderstood. You have brilliant intuitive flashes, but can struggle to explain them in a clear, practical way, leading to frustration when people don't get your vision. But how this Saturn transit may help is that Saturn demands clarity. It will push you to build a structure for your beautiful ideas, like creating a clear outline for a project. That's just one example. The Pisces review helps you to do this without losing the magic. It teaches you how to be both clear and compassionate within your communications or within your inner thoughts, dissolving the fear that logic will kill your creativity. And your practical goal at this time is to become a clear and compelling communicator. The work is to learn how to build a logical framework that can hold your inspired ideas. This allows you to use your gift as a powerful teacher or an artist, explaining deep concepts in a way that is both easy to follow and deeply inspiring to others. If your natal Neptune's in the fourth house, how you connect to the divine naturally is you connect through your feelings, your connection to your family history and your home or your innermost self, or you're inspired by your roots no matter how dark it is. And your artistic talent often involves creating a specific mood or an atmosphere that makes people feel safe. But your home life can feel chaotic, or your emotional boundaries within your family or your past can feel a little bit blurry. You might feel weighed down by unspoken family secrets or an undefined sadness from your past. And how this Saturn transit may help is that Saturn arrives to help you build a real foundation. The Aries push, which is right now or before Saturn goes into Pisces, will prompt you to handle practical responsibilities at home. But the Pisces review then allows for deep emotional healing. It helps you compassionately sort through your family history, forgive the past, and release emotional burdens that aren't actually yours to carry. Your practical goal is to build a true sanctuary. This means doing both the practical work, whether it's decluttering or organizing, and the emotional work, whether it's setting boundaries or healing old wounds, to create a home that is genuinely peaceful. And this stable foundation becomes the source of strength for all of your other pursuits. If your natal Neptune's in the fifth house, how you naturally connect to the divine is you connect through pure, joyful creativity, heart-centered romance, and play in some way. You are a natural channel for either art, music, inspiration, empathy, whatever resonates with you. And the fog that might creep in is for procrastination and romantic fantasy. You may get lost in the dream of creating a masterpiece, which stops you from ever even starting it. Or in love, you can fall for the idea of a person rather than the real thing, leading to disappointment. And how the Saturn transit may help is that Saturn is the ultimate antidote to creative fantasy. It will demand you to take your talent seriously and build a disciplined, consistent practice around them. The Pisces review helps you to dissolve the ego's need for your art to be perfect, or whatever you're experiencing to be perfect, or for your love life to be a fairy tale, and it reconnects you to the simple spiritual joy of the process of fun itself. And your practical goal is to become a working artist or a working creator, or to have fun with intention, not just be dreamy. And this means creating real structured schedules for your fun time or your creative time, because you exert your power by actually finishing your projects and sharing your unique vision, proving that discipline is the very thing that sets your creativity free. With natal Neptune in the sixth house, how you naturally connect to the divine is that you find the sacred within your daily work and routines in some way. And what I mean by that is that you have an intuitive sense of what people need to feel better, and you connect to a higher purpose through acts of service. I'm a Neptune in the sixth house person, so I get this, trust me. But where the fog may creep in is burnout. We get burnt out, and your boundaries at work or in service are likely a little bit weak, leading you to absorb everybody's stress. Your health might feel mysterious, with vague issues often tied to to being energetically drained. I always get gastrointestinal issues, but it may look different for everybody. And how this Saturn transit helps is that Saturn teaches you to practice self-care. It will force you to get realistic about your limits and structure your workday and health routines with discipline. The Pisces review helps you to dissolve any guilt or martyr complex about saying no, teaching you that taking care of your own energy is the most helpful thing you can do for anyone, and your practical goal is to create healthy daily rituals. And this means building a life that includes consistent rest, good food, and firm time boundaries. You can then exert your power as a truly effective and sustainable helper, precisely because you have learned to manage your own well-being first. If you have your natal Neptune in the 7th house, then you connect through your one-on-one relationships, seeking a spiritual soulmate level bond with others. And your artistic side often comes out in collaboration or creating things that bring people together. But you tend to put partners on a pedestal, ignoring red flags and getting lost in the fantasy of who you want them to be. And this can lead to a painful cycle of idealizing someone and then feeling deeply disillusioned when they aren't who they say they are. And how this Saturn transit may help is that Saturn brings a much needed dose of reality to your relationships. It will force honest conversations about commitment, responsibility, and what is actually possible. And then the Pisces review helps you to dissolve the fairy tale fantasy with compassion, allowing you to love the real imperfect people who are in front of you. And your practical goal is to build partnerships that are both soulful and realistic. This means learning to hold both the magical feeling of connection and the practical day-to-day realities of a relationship at the same time. You exert your power by becoming a partner who offers both deep acceptance and clear, compassionate boundaries. And this can be in platonic or romantic relationships, so take what resonates with that. If you have natal Neptune in the 8th house, how you connect to the divine is that your intuition is deep and works with life's great mysteries. You connect by exploring psychology, intimacy, and transformative experiences. Your artistic talent is often expressed through emotionally raw and powerful work. But this area can be a little bit confusing, manifesting as messy financial entanglements with others, blurry intimate boundaries, or a tendency to absorb the psychological pain of those you're close to. And how this Saturn transit may help is that Saturn provides a grounding cord into this deep, watery house. It will demand that you create clear, conscious structures around shared finances, like a formal budget, and get real with psychological patterns, perhaps by committing to therapy, for example. And the Pisces review is a time of deep healing, helping you dissolve vague fears and build a trusting, structured relationship with your own psyche. And your practical goal at this time is to become a conscious navigator of life's complexities. By bringing awareness and structure to the most hidden parts of your life, you develop a powerful emotional resilience. You exert power by handling life's intensity with integrity because you have done the hard work to understand your own inner world. If your natal Neptune's in the 9th house, how you connect to the divine naturally is that you connect through big ideas, whether it's through philosophy, travel, or a search for universal truth. Your intuition comes as grand visions and a sense of cosmic oneness in some way, but where the fog may creep in is that there may be some spiritual bypassing in some way, like using a big spiritual or big grand philosophical idea to avoid dealing with your own real life messy emotions. Maybe you can get lost in theories about enlightenment without ever doing the work. But how this transit may help you is that Saturn arrives to test your beliefs against reality. It will demand that you build a real disciplined practice is the key word, around your faith, not just talk about it. For example, instead of just believing in forgiveness, Saturn will present a situation that requires you to actually be forgiving when it's difficult. The Pisces review helps you to dissolve dogma and find a more flexible, compassionate wisdom. Your practical goal is to live in your philosophy. This means taking your grand worldview and finding practical daily ways to put it into action. You exert your power when you become a teacher whose wisdom is compelling because it has earned through real world experience. With natal Neptune in the 10th house, how you connect to the divine is that you dream of a career or a public role that has a true spiritual or creative calling. It could be creative or healing, like medicine, even therapist, anything that's super healing, or a service to humanity in however way that looks. It can look a few ways. And your intuition guides your professional path. The fog is a lack of a clear practical career plan or like a clear path if you already are in your career. You have a beautiful dream job in mind, but have no idea what concrete steps to take to get there at times. This leads to professional drift or taking jobs that feel meaningless while you wait for your real life to start. And how this Saturn transit may help you is that Saturn acts as the ultimate spiritual career coach. It will force you to get serious and create structured step-by-step plans to make your dream career into a reality. The Pisces review helps you to do this without selling yourself out, ensuring that the practical path you build remains aligned with your soulful vision. Your practical goal at this time is to create a business plan for your calling. That means breaking down your big dreams into small achievable goals step by step. And you exert your power by proving that it's possible to have a career or to have goals that is both successful in the real world and deeply fulfilling with your soul. With natal Neptune in the 11th house, you connect to the divine naturally, either through friendships or your hopes for a better world or through your contributions to society. You dream of finding a soul family or being part of a utopian community that shares your ideals. The fog is idealism that may lead to disappointment. You might attract unreliable friends because you only see their potential, not their reality. You can also become disillusioned when your social causes don't live up to your perfect ideals. And how this Saturn transit may help is that Saturn brings a reality check to your social life. It will force you to get real about who your true reliable friends are and to take on a more structured, responsible role within your community. The Pisces review helps you to dissolve your idealistic expectations and love for your friends and community for the messy, imperfect, beautiful reality that they actually are. And your practical goal at this time is to build the community you dream of, one real relationship at a time. This means showing up consistently for your friends and taking on practical responsibilities. You exert your power by grounding your hopes for humanity in tangible local action. And if your natal Neptune's in the 12th house, how you naturally connect to the divine is that because this is Neptune's natural home, your connection to the divine is just so natural to you. Your intuition is powerful, your dreams are vivid, and your creativity is a direct line to the collective unconscious. You are kind of like a natural mystic. I guess you could say you're an ecliptic mystic. You see where I went there? Okay, we're going to stop that. But where the fog creeps in is that the fog here can be all-consuming. It can manifest as escapism, feeling lost in the world, or a deep sense of cosmic loneliness almost. Your personal boundaries can feel almost non-existent, making you incredibly sensitive. But how this Saturn transit may help is that Saturn's transit here is one of the most helpful you can experience. It provides the anchor you've always needed, but it will demand that you build a strong, disciplined structure for your immense spiritual sensitivity. It's a non-negotiable for you, whether it's like daily meditation. This is a really good example, or like breath work, or just like, being in nature, whatever resonates for you. And the Pisces review is a time of mastery, helping you to dissolve any victim narrative and really claim your power. And your practical goal is to become a grounded mystic instead of an ecliptic mystic. And this means building a durable daily routine that allows you to safely explore your inner world without getting lost in it. You exert your power by turning your deep sensitivity from a liability into your greatest gift, becoming either a healer or an artist whose wisdom is powerful because it is disciplined and grounded in reality.